Hi guys, it's Kaz, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books I would like to read in the month of July. In July there are 2 readathons I'm going to be participating in, which I'm very excited about, and I do plan on vlogging them, so you can look forward to those videos. But aside from that as well, there are some other great books that I'm keen to read or finish, and I do have a secret TBR, potentially, if I get around to doing it in July. I'm not going to talk about what books they are, but I do have 5 books on the secret TBR, one of which I will actually be teasing today, but I'm not going to tell you which one it is. It is a book that I have on my TBR for one of the other readathons, but like I said, I'm not going to say which book it is. Feel free to guess if you wish, but I'm going to keep it under wraps until the reading vlog I have for that video goes live. Let's talk about the books that I'm currently reading and would like to finish. The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. So this is the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy, and I started reading this for the queer blackathon that happened in June. And I'm really enjoying this so far, but I had to put this on pause because I had to read the 2 books that were chosen for my book club. So very sad that I haven't been able to touch this book for about a week or so, but I'm very keen to get back into it and finish reading this, and then hopefully soon getting onto the 3rd book, because this is such a good series. It's so immersive, the world building is so complex, the characters are so interesting. I'm loving it dearly. So I think this is going to be like my top priority, the book that I'm hoping to finish first thing in July. The first book in the series is called The 5th Season, and it's set during the beginning of the end of the world. There is a great rift that is torn across the continent, spewing deadly ash and wreaking havoc, essentially. We follow a character named Essen who, right before the season starts, comes home one day to find her son has been murdered and her daughter is missing. So she goes in search of her daughter right as this season begins, and it's about her journey surviving the end of the world. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I also started Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. I started reading this just before the Queer Blackathon started, so also had to put this on pause in order to start the books on my TBR for the Queer Blackathon, and I didn't make it very far before I got to that stage. Only 28 pages, but I am enjoying what I'm reading so far and looking forward to continuing. This is a West African inspired fantasy, and our main character Ara is born into a family of very powerful witch doctors. However, she herself does not seem to have any magical abilities, much to the disappointment of her mother. There is, however, a way to gain power, and that is to trade years of your life in exchange for power. This isn't something she's tried before. However, children start to go missing within the kingdom, and Ara is determined to find the culprit, and I think her quest leads her to discover some very horrible truths, and she may potentially need to consider this trade-off in order to gain some power to help her. Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a book I've been meaning to read for the longest time, and I finally picked it up this month. I'm listening to the audiobook. I'm only a couple of chapters in as well, but again, very much enjoying what I'm listening to so far. So this book is set in a utopian world where humanity has conquered death. There are no diseases, there is no war, there is no misery. Humans can live for as long as they wish. However, one issue that does arise because of this is population control. So in order to manage this, scythes exist. So they are responsible for deciding who dies and when. Now, our 2 main characters, Citra and Rowan, are chosen to apprentice a scythe, neither of which are interested in being scythes, but I think that's one of the primary rules in order to be considered to become a scythe. You don't want this job. So I think it's about them apprenticing and kind of learning the art of taking a life. I've heard great things about this series, so we'll check back in with you on what I think. This is going to be an ambitious month, isn't it? Now for the first readathon. From the 11th until the 12th of July, Becca and the Books is hosting a readathon based on her Bookopoly board. If you like TBR games and you haven't checked out Becca's Bookopoly videos, then please do. I absolutely love her board. I really enjoy watching those videos, and I'm very excited that she has created a readathon based on it. I will leave a link to Becca's video in the description, and I would urge you to go and check it out. She explains much more clearly how it all works, but essentially so far Becca has provided us with one set of roles. And then once the readathon starts, every 12 hours, we will be given another set of roles. And you can choose to do one or both of the prompts that we are given with each role. So that's 4 or 8 prompts total. It's up to you. I think I'm going to stick with the 4 prompts to not overexert myself. As I said, Becca has already given us the first set of prompts, and I have decided to go with the prompt to read a paranormal or magical realism novel. For this, I have Blanca and Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. This is on my TBR for June. Didn't get around to reading it, and when I saw the prompt, I was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to squeeze this into my July TBR. And like I said, because the rest of the prompts will be given to us during the readathon itself, this is the only book that I currently have on my TBR, but you can check out my reading vlog for more details about what I do end up reading. So in this, we follow 2 sisters, Blanca and Roja, who are part of a family that are under a generations old spell. Because of this spell, the 2 sisters know that one day the swans from deep within the forest will draw them into a game that will leave one of them a human and the other one trapped in the body of a swan. Readathon number 2 that I will be participating in is the Reading Rush. This is a week-long readathon with a whole bunch of reading, video, and photo challenges. I'll have a link down below to their website. They have 7 reading challenges. The first one is to read a book with a cover that matches the color of your birthstone. As a December baby, the birthstones that I could choose from were blue zircon, tanzanite, and turquoise. And for this, I've decided to pick up Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Rift Part 1. I'm sure you all know by now, but Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite TV show of all time, and I've been slowly making my way through the comics because I can't get enough of this world and these characters. And there is plenty of blue on this front cover, a little bit on the spine as well, that I think nicely matches zircon specifically. Also, being super short, perfect for a readathon. I'm not going to go into the synopsis of this one because I'm sure it will probably spoil some things, especially since this is set after the TV series. So I'm not going to touch on what it's about. The second prompt is to read a book with a title starting with The book I'm going to be reading for this prompt is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This is actually the July book of the month for the book club that I co-host called The Name of the Book. Links and such in the description below if you want to find out more. But this is definitely a highly anticipated book for a lot of us. I know one of the hosts has already read the book and absolutely loved it. So I have high hopes for this. Also because I've been really enjoying one of N.K. Jemisin's other series. This sounds like such an interesting concept. So it's the Earth we know, but every city actually has a soul. Some of these are very old, others are quite new. I'm reading a proof here, so maybe this is like old information, but on Goodreads it says New York City has 5 souls. On the proof it says 6. In addition to these souls, I think every city also has more of a dark side that threatens to destroy the city and the city's protectors, the souls. Sounds like a really interesting setup to the world, and I'm excited to dive in. The third prompt is to read a book that has inspired a movie adaptation that you've already seen. I decided to cheat a little bit, and before the readathon begins, I'm going to go and watch the movie for The Sun Is Also a Star, and then during the reading rush, I will read The Sun Is Also a Star. This is a book I've been meaning to read for the longest time, but for whatever reason, just haven't got around to doing it yet, so perfect opportunity right now. So this is about Natasha and Daniel, who meet in New York City and start to fall for each other right before Natasha and her family are about to be deported to Jamaica. Sounds like it should be a pretty cute romance, but also quite sad as well. So looking forward to watching and then reading. The fourth prompt is to read the first book you touch. My interpretation of this is that I'm going to choose 4 books that will work for the next prompt, and then I don't know, close my eyes and spin around or something, and then whichever one I manage to touch first is going to be the book that I read for those 2 prompts. The next prompt is to read a book completely outside of your house. For me, I am in a position to be able to safely do this because I have a balcony. Given it's not raining the entire week, I should be able to pop out and read a book. I know that for some participants, this isn't going to be appropriate, safe, or possible to do depending on various circumstances, but I think at the moment the fact that we're in a pandemic, being outside isn't necessarily a safe thing right now. So like I said, gonna be sticking to my balcony. For those of you who do have any concerns about this reading challenge, I'm gonna have a link in the description below. The Reading Rush have obviously received feedback on this prompt and have provided some alternatives or different ways that you could interpret this prompt if you are interested in trying to complete this challenge. As I said, I'm going to be choosing 4 books for this prompt, and I'll figure something out. I don't know. How can I randomize which one I touch first? I'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk about the 4 books that I have for this. So first up, Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Rift Part 2. Obviously, after reading Part 1, I'm probably going to want to read Parts 2 and 3 relatively quickly afterwards. I have these editions that have separated each mini arc into 3 parts. I also have Binti: The Last Masquerade by Nnedi Okorafor. This is I think the 3rd and final book in, yes, the final book in this science fiction novella trilogy. Another sequel, Come Tumbling Down by Seanan McGuire. So this is the 5th installment in the Wayward Children series. The first book is Every Heart a Doorway. And lastly, Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. So this is a graphic novel memoir. And I think that Persepolis is split into 2 parts, but this is a bind-up of the 2, if I remember correctly. It has the story of a childhood and the story of a return. So I've chosen 4 shorter, or at least quick to read books, because I don't want to be spending too much time outside. It is going to be the middle of winter here in Australia, so short books to whiz through as quick as possible. How am I going to do this? Okay, I'm going to put them on display here. I'm going to close my eyes, spin around a couple of times, and hopefully end up facing this way, and basically see whatever I touch first. I'll have my hands just below boob height, apparently. Okay, sounds great. Oh, you know what? My ring light, when I have my eyes closed, makes it very obvious that this is the camera direction. So hopefully it'll steer me correctly. We'll see. Okay, so 1, 2, my hands are too high. Okay, let's, wow! Binti, did you see that? Could you see that? I hope so. I think this is a nice conclusion as well, because I'm not sure if I read Binti home during the last reading rush, but I did read the first Binti during a reading rush, so it's nice to round it out. The next prompt is to read a book from a genre I want to read more of, and for this I decided to go with romance, but more specifically historical romance. I don't read a lot of romance to begin with, but if you guys saw one of my videos earlier in the year, I tried historical romance for the first time and enjoyed it quite a lot. So I took to Google looking for some historical romance recommendations and came upon A Delicate Affair by Lindsay Evans. So this is set in the States in the early 1900s. We have Golden Worth, who is a proud Southerner, but after, I'm assuming, some Southern white boys threaten to lynch him, he runs north to Washington, D.C. There he meets Leonie Harper, and a romance ensues. I'm looking forward to it. And the last reading prompt is to read a book set on a different continent to myself. So, a book just not set in Australia. Sure. For this, I'm gonna probably read With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, but I may swap this out for The Poet X instead. I'll see how I'm feeling a little bit closer to the time. But for the readathon, I definitely do want to at least listen to one audiobook, and I think that one of Elizabeth Acevedo's books would be great on audio. The Poet X, especially being written in verse, I think would lend really well to the audio format, so I know that that would be a great time. I'm sure the audiobook for this one will be just as fabulous, but I'm just keeping my options open there. With the Fire on High follows Amani Santiago, who is a teen mum trying to balance being a mum, looking after her abuela, finishing high school, and focusing on her love of cooking. I've just heard so many great things about Elizabeth Acevedo's books, so really, really keen to pick this one up. Also, this cover is stunning, and like, ugh, it looks delicious. This isn't one of the reading challenges, but I think on the website there will be a badge for people who read more than 7 books. So because of that, I'm going to put Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Rift Parts 2 and 3 on my TBR as well. This will bring me up to 8 books, but that's fine. I want to read all of the books in The Rift in quick succession, so that's fine. They're short books, it's fine. I totally forgot that the Reading Rush has a group book that recently was voted upon, so I'm gonna try and squeeze in Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid onto my TBR for the month. No, for the readathon. I'm gonna prioritize that over the extra Avatar books. So we have Such a Fun Age, and looking at the synopsis, we have Amira, who is an African-American woman. She's a babysitter. She is asked to take a white blogger's
toddler to the local market as a bit of a distraction, and while there, the security guard accuses Amira of kidnapping the child. So this is a book I've been kind of seeing everywhere, so I'm really excited that this was chosen as the book, the group book. So let's read it. I'm excited. And more books to the TBR. Okay.
So these are all of the books on my TBR for the month of July. As I mentioned, there may be an extra 4 added to the list if I get around to doing the secret TBR video, but we shall see. But before I wrap up this video, I have my booktuber shout out. Today, I'd love to direct you over to Elle from Lovely Reads 101's channel. I've been really enjoying her videos and can totally relate to kind of having some commitment issues with series and just not being good at picking up sequels. She has lots of great recommendations and reading vlogs, and definitely puppy cameos. Her most recent video is a book recommendation video based on her dog's personalities. Like, that is such a great idea. I love it. Go and check her out. So that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you very soon in a new one, but until then, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye!